Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to do a quick brake bleed on a Shimano brake. A lot of times I used to think that you had to bleed both the caliper and the lever to get a good bleed, but that's not always the case. A lot of times the air will get into the lever, and all you have to do is bleed the lever and not worry about the caliper. So I think I've got a pretty good example of that, and I'm going to show you how I do it and show you how few tools are needed and how easy it is. So let's get into it. Okay, this is the brake on my daughter's e-bike. I have it in my shop. I've sent the motor off to have the motor rebuilt on the bike. And while I was going over the bike, just looking at it, I noticed that the rear brake here needs a little attention. As you can see, the brake lever, when mashed, goes all the way to the handlebar, and my guess is that somehow air got into the brake line, and I need to to get the air out of the brake line. So here's what I do when I don't think the rear caliper has been contaminated. I think there's just a problem with air getting into the brake caliper. I do this quick bleed on the top. Now this is a fairly easy process, and the only tools that I need is I'm going to need a 2mm Allen wrench, a Shimano specific brake fluid cup, and I'll show you how that works in just a minute. I'm going to need some Shimano hydraulic mineral oil, and what I do is, so I won't contaminate the oil that's in this bottle, I've poured some oil into this, some of the hydraulic mineral oil into this, and I'll use it to fill up this reservoir, or this Shimano cup, and then I will show you how I put that on the bike. So the first thing I'm going to do is come over, and take this is where the filler cap goes on the hydraulic brake. It's pretty much in the same place regardless of the type brake you have, but I'm just going to take the little fill off of there and put it over here where it's out of the way. And now I'm going to take the filler cup, and this is a specific cup for Shimano where it will fit right into that hole and you can screw it in. Now you need to make sure that the rubber grommet is on the bottom so you'll get a good tight fit on there. There's a good picture of that rubber grommet, the black thing. And you want to put it in. You don't have to be crazy screwing it in, you just want to screw it until it's a little bit firm on there. Once you get that in there, you take your fluid here, and once again this is out of the bottle so it won't contaminate, and you just sort of fill up the bottom part of it, not too much, probably about a quarter of the way full in there, just to get it going good. And now this little stopper, I'm going to take it out. It's in pretty tight. Let's see. Take it completely out. And now what I'm going to do is, the idea is to get the bubbles out. So when I start pulling this lever, you'll start to see bubbles coming out. And those bubbles, you're just going to continue to pull the lever in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And eventually it will get hard. The brake lever will start to get hard. Now another thing just to be aware of, in this particular case, I've not taken or done anything to the rear caliper, and the pads are bumping up against the brake rotor. If the rotor were off, if the rear wheel were off the bike and the rotor wasn't in the caliper, you would need to put something in the caliper or you would push the pistons out. But I don't have to worry about that in this case. Now you just keep doing it. Eventually you'll get to a point where the bubbles sort of stop coming, and when they do, you just simply take the bike, rotate it on its side. So I've got the bike sort of sideways, and then you start pumping again. And what will happen in that process, you know, bubbles will come out. If nothing comes on that side, you twist it back over, lean the bike over on the other side, and start to pump the brake. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to turn the camera off, and I'll come back to it. But I'm going to be just pumping. You just pump. It'll take a while. The bubbles will keep coming, but you continue to pump the brake, rotate it side to side. By the way, never let the fluid get below the little hole in the bottom. Always keep that hole covered while you're doing this process. Okay, I've been pumping it some, and now I'm going to turn the bike over on its side. And as you can see, when I do that, bubbles are starting coming. So I'll just continue to do this until all the bubbles stop coming out. And you rotate it side to side, straight up, side to side, straight up, side to side. Now the brake lever is getting firmer. It's not as firm as I want it to be, but it's getting firmer. And I keep going here. The bubbles have stopped here, so I'm going to straighten the bike up. And now I'll do it straight up. Just a little bubble there. I'm going to turn the bike over on this side. Nothing really there. Okay, I'm going to keep doing it, and I'll come back in a minute here. Now I've got the bike leaned over, and I can show you. You really want to aggressively pump this lever. So this should give you an idea here. Sorry that the camera's moving around. But you really want to very aggressively pump the lever. And that will, as you're moving the bike, that will really help get the bubbles out. I couldn't get any on that particular one, but that's how you want to really aggressively pump it and move it around side to side. Now at this point, I've been moving the brake lever back and forth probably for around 5 minutes, moving the bike and the brake lever, and I think the brake is pretty tight. Certainly tight, much tighter than it was. And now to take the Shimano fuel cup off, you take this little plunger, stick it in there, and when you unscrew it, what will happen is it'll keep the fluid in the cup without it coming out. And then there's a little base where you can stick it in, and now you can set it aside. Now at this point, you can see that there's fluid in the top of this. And so when I stick the bolt in here to cap it, it should have a good airlock, or it should be. Oh, by the way, you just want to make sure that the rubber O-ring is on this little bolt here, and it is. And at this point you can just reinsert this down on the brake lever. There you go. Just make sure you don't cross thread it. Should go in pretty easy there. And some people I know tighten them pretty hard. I don't. I get it, give it just a little nudge on there, that's good enough. And at that point, you know, the bleed's done. Well, there you go. That's how I do a simple lever bleed on a Shimano brake system. I hope I've given you something to think about, and I'll see you at the top.